What's good, YouTube? It's your boy MRPG. I hope you're having an amazing morning, afternoon, or evening, wherever you are in the world. And today, we're doing something different on the gaming channel. As I finally beat Dark Souls 1, Dark Souls 2, and Dark Souls 3. I finished Dark Souls 3 today. All bosses, all DLC, all that good stuff. Screw me, dear. And yeah, the whole time I'm playing the Dark Souls franchise, everyone's telling me, bro, you need to react to some lore vids. Because it, you know, in Dark Souls 1 and 2, I wasn't really interested in the lore. I don't know why. Little bits here and there, maybe. But in Dark Souls 3, I was so enticed, intrigued by the game and the world. You can ask my chat. I was live streaming it. I'll have the links to all the playlists, Dark Souls 1, 2, and 3, in the description if you're interested and you are new. I was reading every boss soul, most weapons. Like, I was just really intrigued. Pontiff Sulyvahn, super intrigued by him. Nameless King was the coolest boss. Super intrigued by his lore. So yeah, the whole time I'm doing this, my chat's like, bro, check out VatiVidya. And you're going to love his Dark Souls lore video. Hopefully I've chosen the right one. If you guys want to see more like lore reactions, I know this guy has reactions to this lore to certain bosses. So if you want to see that, hey, it all matters on how well this video does. If you like, subscribe, all that good stuff. Recommend the videos in the description, in the comments. And yeah, let's get into this. Shout out to VatiVidya. I'm sure most of you are subscribed to him, but go and subscribe to him. I hope he doesn't mind me reacting to his content, but I've seen a couple of other videos reacting to his stuff, so I'm sure he's a great guy that understands people just want to react and yeah, get his stuff out there. Not that it needs it, because it's doing great. 3 million views. Anyway, Dark Souls lore explained. Let's get into this. If there's anything I miss, I'm sorry. I'm going to try my best to keep along with the story. I'll tell you my thoughts as I go along. But yeah, if there's anything I miss, let me know in the comments. And I'm just going to chill and react. Don't expect me to be, you know, over the top reactor. Fake my reaction. I'm not that type of guy. We're just going to chill and see what's going on. So here we go. Dark Souls lore explained by VatiVidya. Hopefully my camera down here is the best place.
After you finish a Souls game, you have questions.
You know, headphones are useful, Omar.
Why am I on fire? What's the point? After you finish a Souls game, you have questions. Why am I on fire?
God, this guy's got an ASMR voice.
Myself in this cave. Which ending is the right one? And
that's the one I got.
The age-old question, and why do they call him Big Hat Logan? First, let's start with the player character. Who is the chosen undead? Well, they are who you make them. Whether you were a thief or a knight, from Astora or Katarina, it doesn't matter. What's important is that you ended up in a cell at the right place and the right time. For you head to Lordran in accordance with an old legend that speaks of a mission for a chosen undead hero. Okay. This legend is, by the way, most likely a deception by the gods, probably designed to lure powerful heroes to Lordran, but we'll get to that later. Is there a world outside Lordran? Lordran is just the land of the gods, and there is a wider world of man with many more countries therein. The fate of the world largely revolves around Lordran though, so we never go to these other places. But the characters we do meet in Lordran often hail from these foreign countries, and you can tell that they've been designed to be accurate characterizations of their homelands. What you're seeing on screen are the results of an art competition to depict these foreign places.
Damn.
So check out that video if you're interested, and subscribe to see the next competition really soon.
Where people
How
are so
did this
talented,
world come
man.
to be? Originally, the world had no disparity. Everything was just rock, from the land to the trees to the dragons. It was homogeneous, static, without beginning or end. Then, similar to the Big Bang, fire suddenly came to exist. And it disrupted this eternal monotony. Now, there wasn't just existence, but there were states of existence. Heat and cold, light and dark, life and death. The result was a rock universe gradually changing into the world as you see it in-game, including its overabundance of souls. What is a soul? So when fire came to be and permeated the universe, so did souls. Thus, the soul is the power of disparity itself. They are the means by which the first flame changed the universe, and paradoxically, they are both the fuel and the byproduct of that fire. Similar to in Demon Souls, a soul gives you clarity, allowing you to think, but also life, allowing you to be. And just as there are all kinds of life, there are all kinds of souls, of various shapes, sizes, and magical affinities. Many bosses are these special beings with special souls, and the most powerful beings are the lords, bearing lord souls. Who are the lords, and what is a lord soul? The four lords are the first kings. They were all attracted to the first flame, having only ever known darkness before coming upon it. Each one discovered this massive concentration of Disparity's power near the flame, which they then used to establish a kingdom under their rule. Thus, these massive souls are called Lord Souls. Of these four souls, Carth tells us that the Pygmy found the Dark Soul, and it follows that the other Lord Souls all aligned with the other aspects of Disparity. So in contrast, Gwyn found the Light Soul, Nito found the Death Soul, and the Witch of Izalith found the Life Soul. These souls came to define them, and they would soon ally together to challenge the Everlasting Dragons. What is an Everlasting Dragon? So they're a part of the original race of dragons that predate life itself. Much like there are wyverns and worms, there are also ancient dragons, or archdragons as later games coin it. Their race is the progenitor to all other dragons' subspecies, and these are subspecies that adapt really well to a new world and new environments.
Screw that guy!
You still face some archdragons in-game, but these archdragons never are the original generation of archdragons that actually predate fire. The ancient dragons are commonly described as everlasting, thanks to their stone scales of undeath, granting them immortality. However, when Gwyn learned that his bolts of lightning could peel apart those scales, the lords used their full might to hunt down the archdragons to nigh extinction, ushering in the Age of Fire. What is the Age of Fire? It's the era you find yourself in. It was sparked when the lords defeated the archdragons, and even as far back as them finding their lord souls could be denoted as the dawn or beginning of the Age of Fire. So what follows is this period dominated by the lords. Much of this epoch is also denoted as the Age of Gods, since the three lords residing in Lordran with their fellow deities are on the rise or at their zenith during it. However, this golden age can only continue so long as fire at the source of the god's power remains strong. But eventually, fire will fade, and only darkness will remain. This, quote, is what Carth describes as the logic of the world. And when that happens, the gods are supposed to be replaced, and their Age of Fire is supposed to become an Age of Dark. In the original Dark Souls, you find yourself at this crossroad. The first flame is about to go out. Even now, its power is barely reaching the world of man, and what follows is a proverbial night. And in this twilight era, the undead curse runs rampant. Okay, so what is the undead curse? Ever since the first flame began to wane, a dark ring of fire has manifested upon the bodies of certain humans, a sign.
Holy crap, there's a lot to take in. And we're only 5 minutes in. Strap yourselves in, folks. This is a lot. This is a lot. I'm trying my best to follow with it. This is a lot, though.
Of the dark burgeoning within them. This dark sign marks you as an ageless immortal, though your endless revival comes at the cost of your own souls and sanity until you eventually hollow. What caused the undead curse? This question is at the very heart of this series, and the answer is really quite complex.
I never found what happened to this guy in my Dark Souls 3 playthrough. He just left.
You'll have a better time with this though if you're familiar with all three games. So when the world first began, a creature called the Pygmy found the Dark Soul. Who they were isn't known, nor is it really important. What is important is that they split the Dark Soul into fragments, and these fragments came to be known as humanity, which is a small black spirit found within every human. Carth refers to the furtive Pygmy as your ancestor. Thus, we are descended from one of the four lords. These games frequently question whether the dark force within humans is a positive or a negative thing. Your adventure through Oolacile in the Artorias of the Abyss DLC is a great example of that. Here, the darkness within man has gone wild. It's endlessly consuming and corrupting the land and the souls of people around it. And yet, there is dialogue here that's supposed to give you pause.
I still think on that creature from the abyss that preyed upon me. My faculties were far from lucid, but I quite clearly sensed certain emotions. A wrenching nostalgia, a lost joy, an object of obsession, and a sincere hope to reclaim it. Could these thoughts belong to the beast from the abyss? But if that were true, then perhaps it is no beast after all.
This same duality is seen in the descriptions of dark magic, which are spells that are often driven by powerful emotions, positive things like love and calm, or negative things like hate and envy. But whether it's positive or negative, Gwyn's pantheon fears the dark, for one day, as we mentioned earlier, their Age of Fire is going to end, and only dark will remain. This was the logic of the world, until Gwyn committed the first sin, and he shackled the darkness within man. This was a revelation we received in the Ringed City DLC, where the seal of fire around darkness on the dark sign was finally explicitly stated to be a creation of the gods. So for some, like Manus in the first DLC, repression of their humanity causes it to writhe and go mad. However, this seal of fire was placed upon mankind so early in their existence that, for most people, their shackles are all that they know. As a result, and this is really important, humankind end up living their lives through souls that they hold completely separate from the humanity that's within them. You only have to look to the white souls of adventurers that you find in-game as proof of that. Living like this is the lie that Aldia talked about in Dark Souls 2.
All men trust fully the illusion of life. But is this so wrong? A construction, a facade, and yet a world full of warmth and resplendence. Young Hollow, are you intent on shattering the yoke, spoiling this wonderful falsehood?
But in retrospect, the most chilling dialogue Aldia has was this.
Once, the Lord of Light banished dark and all that stemmed from humanity. And men assumed a fleeting form.
We're led to believe that the dark sign cursed humanity with undeath, but Aldia's dialogue means this can't be true. Instead, Aldia says mankind's lives became fleeting when they were branded with the dark sign. So this means that they were originally immortals, and indeed this is the state that you return to when you hollow. What is hollowing? Humanity once stood proud within
Never go
every
hollow.
human, but when the curse was put upon them, humanity became bound, lost, and repressed. So during this Age of Fire, humanity came to rely heavily on their white soul for their sense of self, and we can see this in the names of these souls. When fire fades, the seal of fire restraining the dark grows weaker. Thus, when fire fades, it follows that our dark soul starts to break free, consuming the white soul that we've come to believe is the self, and this process of losing the self is called hollowing. Dying or losing heart
ASMR,
accelerates
bro.
this process. So, an undead must maintain physical and mental fortitude in order to resist this process. However, as you might remember, the Hollows of
what's her
Londor
name again?
in Dark
Yulia?
Souls 3
Yuria?
believe that their hollow states are really the most honest shape of man. This isn't an easy truth to face, especially since the Dark Soul has become this ravenous, repressed thing. To stay sane as a hollow, one may need to drain the life of others. And
I never knew
Hollows
she had
of
an
Londor
invisible soul.
are universally reviled as a result of this. Ultimately, it just leaves you wondering whether this is really the best path for mankind, or whether it's better to just accept the shackles of the gods, or whether humanity's fate has been stolen by the curse, either way. How do we cure the undead curse? Well, curse is an actual affliction, just like poison or toxin. You can experience its build-up in-game, and what this curse does is it locks the dark soul away from the self. It's really about the barrier, it's about the separation, and the Dark Sigil explains this. It says that as humanity leaks out, the curse accumulates in exchange. Unfortunately, humans are helpless against curses, and all we can do is redirect their influence. For example, when you use a purging stone, what you're doing is not actually curing the curse, you're actually just transferring the curse to this stone, and this stone was or is another person. In the original Dark Souls, we do something similar to this process called reverse hollowing. So this is a process that requires you to have a humanity. And it's easy to assume that we're just absorbing the humanity and restoring our humanity, but what's actually happening here is kind of the opposite. Yes, a humanity sprite is taken into the self, but it then acts as a sort of surrogate for the curse, like a purging stone does, and remember, we offer this humanity up to the bonfire. This keeps our white, regular soul safe, and it prevents us from going hollow. Further proof of this dynamic exists in Dark Souls 2, where using a human effigy is just like transferring your curse to a human surrogate. And in Dark Souls 3, we found the Purging Monument, which is this enormous vessel that's overflowing with offered curses. Why did the gods curse humanity? So the logic of the world denotes that fire will fade and only dark will remain. Naturally, Gwyn feared this and managed to enforce a fleeting form upon humanity. The fate of mankind became irreversibly linked to fire, and thus the logic of the world was changed forever. What is the fire linking? It's a ritual for preserving the first flame. With the decline of fire and the rise of the dark and undeath, the gods were thrown into disarray, and the Lord's peaceful relations ultimately collapsed. Before things broke down, however, they concocted a plan to revive the first flame with a powerful soul, cultivated through firekeepers and undead bonfires. This soul would link itself to the fire, and the fire would inherit a new fuel. So Gwyn was the first to link the fire, and many others have taken up that role since then. What is a bonfire? It's your safe haven. Undead bonfires are fueled by the bones of your own kind, and they're connected to the first flame as a part of a network through coiled swords. The heat that their flames produce heal our injuries and can be collected in a liquid form called Estus. As for warping, light is tied to time in this series, so you can reason that a bonfire's light allows you to warp across time and space to other bonfires in the network. Bonfires and their firekeepers promote undead reliance upon fire, and they promote fire's reliance upon undead. Thus, the gods are almost certainly behind their creation. As for who went out and placed them in the world, it's hard to say, but it seems like they can be placed anywhere where there are undead bones, since we create one ourselves in Firelink Shrine, and even in early versions of the game, you were supposed to be able to place them yourself. However, it's important to remember that bonfires are primarily a checkpoint mechanic, and gameplay can't always be explained away by lore. For example, you might think that all undead respawn at the bonfire just like you do, but they don't. According to the Crestfallen Merchant, what actually happens is that undead will lay dead for a while and then later rise where they fell. What is a firekeeper? They're a woman who acts as the living incarnation of a bonfire in order to preserve its flame. So long as the firekeeper lives, so too does her corresponding bonfire, and vice versa. These women are thus vessels for the countless humanity that is offered to the bonfire, which means that they receive the dark spirits along with the effects of the curse in the transfer.
Favorite bonfire waifu is number 2.
Wriggles beneath their skin,
he's alright as well.
nipping at body and soul, and this causes great pain and horrific scarring, though not at extremities like the head or the hands. Firekeepers bear this suffering so that you can benefit.
Wait, let me hear that again.
The head. The humanity wriggles the dark spirits. Humanity that is offered to the bonfire, which means that they receive the dark spirits along with the effects of the curse in the transfer. The humanity wriggles beneath their skin, nipping at body and soul, and this causes great pain and horrific scarring, though not at extremities like the head or the hands. Firekeepers bear this suffering so that you can benefit from the bonfire, and it's through them, and by extension the bonfires, that you can strengthen your soul with whatever traits you desire. So be sure to always thank your oh shit. What is wrong with you? What is a god? Well, they're really whatever humans believe a deity to be. In most cases, the gods refers to members of Gwyn's pantheon, since they're the most widely worshipped.
Yes. Yes. So what was I going to say? I was actually going to say nothing. Just thank me in the comments.
In the world of man. But even those cast out, like Gwyn's firstborn, are still called a war god, simply because some people still
Best
worship
boss
them
of all Dark
as
Souls
such.
right there.
However, just being worshipped doesn't mean that you have power. An example of this is Faris, who humans retroactively deified as the goddess of the hunt Evlana in Dark Souls 2. She was just a heroic bowwoman, but her story got twisted over the years until she became a god. People get kind of hung up on the god term because they're trying to define the race of beings that carry power in the series. For most of these characters, I quite like the term medial, which is a term proposed by Loki. What are medials? Well, many of the gods' followers and descendants aren't human, gods or giants, so we kind of have to make up a term for these beings. Medials is good. In terms of size, they're often between humans and giants, and these are beings like the Daughters of Izalith, or Priscilla, and so on. What are the dead?
I'm tier 3 sub there.
The dead are corpses that decay without the power of life sustaining them. However, some, like skeletons, are often a product of necromancy, and there's evidence that others, like the ghosts of New Londo, become warped by the strong, lingering emotions of the deceased. What is a demon? Anything that can be loosely classified as a monster is called a demon, really. In most cases, though, demons refers to chaos demons who reward the flame of chaos. But there are also Titanite demons, and Dark Souls 2 introduces covetous and smelter demons, as well as a demon of song. It's a common argument
Dark Souls
that a demon
2.
in Dark Souls is a chimeric creature bearing the traits of multiple animals, but this isn't a given. What could be called crow demons are actually called crowmen or corvians. There are also snake men, maggot men, and lion men, all of whom are never called demons.
Well, I don't remember the lion.
Gods, the term is somewhat arbitrary. Basically, a demon is whatever humans would consider to be a monster. What is chaos? Chaos is the nature of fire and life. Life is rooted in the soul. The soul is a product of fire's disparity. Therefore, life, like disparity, is chaos.
I too shot at that tree. Great boss.
The Witch of Izalith found the Lord Soul that represents this, and she tried creating her own fire of life to match that of the first flame. Unfortunately, this sparked a flame of chaos, which creates and transforms new, often grotesque forms of life. These became known as the Chaos Demons, and they threatened Gwyn's rule. So you'll notice that they're stamped out at every turn in all chapters of this series. The Witch of Izalith's yearning for flame became the basis for pyromancy, and pyromancy is one of her strongest surviving legacies. What?
I just done a pyromancy playthrough in Dark Souls 3. It was fun. It was good. You know? Definitely didn't have a ton of people in my chat saying it's broken and it's OP. But I had fun, and that's all that matters.
What is pyromancy? Pyromancy is a physical form of magic. Pyromancers carry along with them a piece of flame that's passed down from teacher to student, stretching all the way back to the witch and her daughters, deriving the art from chaos and sharing that with the humans. Pyromancers then use that flame to conjure their spells, and despite the name, pyromancy isn't actually limited to casting fire, and it can actually conjure all kinds of elements, like iron or poison, but these are rarer arts, since pyromancy is a religion that reveres flame. Just so, you can manifest pyromancies like miracles with your faith, or actually even learn to perform them like sorceries with your intelligence. What is sorcery? It's a mental form of magic. Sorcerers study the natural laws of the world to actually comprehend what they are and how they function. They then use this knowledge to manipulate their power.
God, that library was such a cool area.
Process as
forgot about that.
Which we call sorcery.
This is the one thing I've never done. I haven't done in Dark Souls.
Academics.
I'm saving it for Elden Ring.
Sorceries from anything from souls to light to the dark of the Abyss. What are miracles? They're a spiritual form of magic. You cast miracles by reciting legendary stories, which either feature the spell in question or embody what the miracle manifests. Most miracles are thereby based on the power of the Anor Londo gods, but there are also dark miracles and hexes that achieve similar results. Your faith in the story's truth makes it a reality. What is the Abyss? It's the power of the dark, and whether that's a pitch-black void, like the Realm of the Four Kings, a viscous dark swamp, like in the Ringed City, or a malformed pus, like the creatures of Lothric, the Abyss can manifest from any humanity, and it produces new life or twists old life into new forms. The Abyss is commonly unstable, and like with Manus...
I'm not gonna lie, Dark Souls 3 needed more of those monsters. Because they were so cool. I'm surprised we didn't... I know we got Gundyr. Was it Gundyr? I'm surprised we didn't get like a super Abyss monster, or whatever this thing's called. This thing. I'm surprised by that. I was expecting the final boss of the game to be something revolved around this thing. But, yeah. I guess Manus kind of is like this. I don't know. What do I know? But yeah, I was just surprised we didn't see more of this weird black stuff bosses. God, I'm so good at English.
Into new forms. The Abyss is commonly unstable, and like with Manus in Ulasil, it can go wild, devouring and corrupting the souls of every other form of life. But it was not always this way. The gods placed a curse upon the
Screw
Abyss,
that place.
and while humans have largely lost connection with it, there are multiple sources that suggest the Abyss can offer great comfort to humankind. However, it appears that path was lost when the Abyss was banished, and now it simply hungers. What is Black Flame? Black Flame is the impenetrable fire of humanity, inspired by the power of our quote-unquote untouchable soul, in kind of a similar way to how pyromancy is inspired by Izalith's soul. What is the Deep? As the Age of Dark continues to be delayed, some dark stagnates into the deep, and here the weight of humanity sinks into a horrific abyss, like a deep sea where no light reaches. Many worship the concept of the deep, as these dregs are seen as the bedrock of the world, and you can almost view the deep as a sort of abyssal religion. Its leader, Aldrich, concluded that if the world continued to darken, then there would eventually be an age of the deep.
Biggest letdown in Dark Souls. Dark Souls 3. This guy, or girl, or thing. I thought it was going to be such an epic boss fight. It did have a really cool spell, but that was it. Yeah, this one was a letdown. But I like the lore around it.
Deep sea. Why is time convoluted? With the first flame waning, the power of light also fades, and since light is related to time, the flow of time has stagnated in a land where the flame is located. Due to this instability, time spaces known as other worlds can randomly intersect.
Get praise the sun in the
This
comments,
allows you
please.
to briefly meet people from long before your timeline. And with the help of magic, you can cross the gaps between worlds, usually as spirits. Why is everything in the world hostile to me? After watching this video, you'll enjoy my video talking about all the bosses of Dark Souls 3
Oh, I'm gonna.
if you've played it. I'll just list a bunch of reasons on screen though, because every enemy does.
They're a wild animal or rampaging monster. You've invaded their territory and possibly killed their servants. They are a creation of someone else and mindlessly follow their will. You are impotent to their own personal goals. They are for some reason scared and assume anyone a threat. You want something from them that they will never willingly give you. They are a trial set up for you to overcome as part of fire linking. You accidentally put down your controller and bumped that too.
Does have a reason for attacking you, after all. Except Priscilla, I mean, why did you hurt her? That's actually really fucked up. What is the Painted World? The first painting we're introduced to is the Painted World of Ariamis, which is hung in Anor Londo. It was a place to hide all the things that the gods feared, and so it's filled with many references to sin and the occult. In the Ashes of Ariandel DLC, we learn that the paintings are a mirror of the outside world, and so are burned and reborn to mimic the linking of the fire. Just so, there are those on the inside who would prefer to let the painting rot. What is the meaning of each ending?
We talked about the painted
in
world
Dark
for
Souls,
ages.
you're presented
So
with
cool.
two choices after you defeat the Lord of Cinder. Either you inherit the fire and join the line of succession, preserving the current world order, or you leave the fire to die without fuel, allowing the universe to reach its natural conclusion. By becoming a Lord of Cinder, you sacrifice yourself to restore the light. By becoming a Dark Lord, you choose to lead mankind into a new dark age with an uncertain future. In Dark Souls 2, fire still wanes while the curse still flourishes. You assume a throne inside of a kiln, which takes you to the First Flame and the Lord of Cinder, where you'll make one of these two choices. Turns out neither of them really matter, for the world will continue to ebb and flow between light and dark, so maybe you should heed a certain scholar's proposition instead. A new ending here is to neither rekindle nor squelch the First Flame. Just simply embrace this Twilight era and see what it has in store. As if to follow the consequences of this choice, Dark Souls 3 shows you a world where the future Lords of Cinder refuse to either save the Age of Fire or usher in an Age of Dark. And in the tumult that followed, you are again presented with a choice. Do you continue to link the fire, despite the ritual not being as impactful as before? Do you use the dark of the curse to subsume the flame
That's what I
and lead
did.
the undead into a new age as their Lord of Hollows? Do you let your firekeeper snuff out the fire and herald in the darkness, only to learn that embers survive amongst the countless lords who linked the flame before you? Or do you betray her and take what fire remains all for yourself? You are unkindled ash, after all. What is unkindled ash? These are undead who previously tried and failed to link the fire. You weren't strong enough to bear the flame that you inherited, but you weren't
Legend.
weak enough to stay reduced to ash either, and so you became ash, devoid of flame, but still requiring embers as well as souls to heat your cold, cursed frame. Hence,
Siggy.
Unkindled are destined to seek the fire that remains in the world. How does the series end? Well, it ends with ash, literally. As the world burns out again and again, ash itself arises.
Ashen
This
one.
is a new being. A new species, really, that's composed of 1,000 failures who had tried to link the fire over the years. But ash doesn't really belong in this world, and honestly, they have more in common with the beings of the painted world instead, where all of fire's discarded things reside. So, they fight for a new purpose, to reunite the Dark Soul and paint a new world with it, so that we can finally escape this ashen wasteland that Gwyn has created. So, a slave knight called Gale, hollowed beyond belief, sacrifices himself for a new world.
Legend.
And the painter paints a world called Ash, a cold, dark, and very gentle place.
So
This
good.
video is too broad. I want specifics. Join the club, subscribe, check out other creators in this space, and enjoy endless hours of content that has been made in the years before you saw this video. Before I go, I wanted to give a shout out to one of my favorite Twitch streamers, 30.
Shout out to your Twitch streamer. I respect it. Damn, what a great way to end it. What a great way to end it. There we go. That was really good. A lot to take in though. A lot to take in. But I'm loving the lore of this world. I'm gonna, if you guys want, I can react to the specific boss areas, and I can react to the specific games lore to make it easier. But I really enjoyed this. But it's like he said, it is super broad, and there is so much to take in. I really should have done this in segments. My favorite part, even when I was talking with my chat, the painted world is so intriguing. It's so cool. And it's cool to see that you, in this weird ass world, we kind of sort of made a good ending, even though there are no good endings, I guess. When we destroyed Gale. I didn't even realize that Gale was basically a goodie, sort of. But he knew he would go hollow or whatever when he took the Dark Soul, and that's why he asked you to go and crazy, man. Crazy how this all works. It really is. They really need to do a live action series of Dark Souls. I really enjoyed this, and I hope you did too. I want to do more stuff like this, so if there's anything you want me to react to, go for it. Let me know your favorite boss of the Dark Souls series. Expect me to play Elden Ring very, very soon. I've played Dark Souls 1, 2, and 3. We've got Elden Ring coming up, and we've got Nioh 1 and 2 coming up. And then who knows, maybe Bloodborne and Sekiro, and more Dark Souls reactions. So subscribe for all that. Thank you for watching. Thanks for being you. And I'll see you all next time. Bye-bye.